Why is it that only those who have never fought in a battle are so eager to be?
One of my quotes when I left watching Civil War was, "This is the worst movie I've ever watched." And it's not the worst in terms of it's a bad movie, like there's nothing to it. It's a movie that says nothing. It's a movie that's based on ideas, but it's killed by the times that we live in whereby it cannot take a stand. The movie is called Civil War, which means the first thing your first thing with the exposition that you have to do is to let us know what's the war about. And I think the movie doesn't do that. Essentially what it says is the state of California and the state of Texas have come together and combined, and they want to remove the government that's there because this guy who's been in power has been in power for more than 3 terms and he's probably a dictator and ABCs and whatever, which is fine. But then the thing is, why? What does Texas and California have in common? What is it that they're fighting for? Are they fighting for freedom? Are they fighting for different ideas? Because these are 2 states that have different views in general. So I think the movie, what it does is it tries to stay neutral, which is based on what the film is about, which I can understand from a writing perspective, to whereby they try to stay neutral because if you're a reporter, you have to stay neutral. The film is shot from the perspective of a reporter, for a photojournalist, and we go through the journey and experience of what photojournalists go through. And the sad thing is, fine, these people don't have an opinion, or they're not supposed to. They're supposed to look at it from a neutral perspective. But the problem is, as an audience member, I need to pick a side and I need to empathize with certain people. And I think that we don't watch a movie called Civil War and go in there thinking, oh, I'm going to be neutral about this, when the question is what ideals or ideas that are going to be spread by this film. So as we go through that journey, I feel like it's well shot. The sound is amazing. It's an immersive experience. But when you come out of it and you say, what was this movie about? To this day, I cannot tell you. I do not know, is my response. I have no idea what this film is about. It's about a journalist who wants to take the last photo of the president before he's removed from power. It's about the other journalist whose goal is to get a quote or the last interview before this guy is taken away from power. It's about a young girl who wants to go on the journey to become, because she's at the beginning of her career. And then it's about the guy who's the supporting actor who also wants to go, but to a different place. So that's what it is. That's where we begin from. And that's the journey we go through for them going there. But the main thing is, why? Because, as an audience member, that's the thing that you're asking yourself is, why is this happening? Why are we doing this? Where are we going with this, So fundamentally for me, as the film progresses, some of the challenges that I had with it started rising. They're like, why are we doing this? And then, sometimes you forget about it. Sometimes you forget about the why, because you're just there, like at some point when they stop and to get gas, and then you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen to this little girl? Is he gonna rape her? Is he gonna kill her? Is he gonna do whatever? What's gonna happen? And then they show these guys who are like, oh, these guys were trying to loiter around here, and then they end up killing them or whatever. Like, and in those moments, you're like, this is so gruesome. Like, and the fact that it's also possible, like, oh shit, like these are the type of guys you don't want to mess with. And you go through that journey to whereby one of those clips that's shown, of the guy of how American are you? Are you American or are you American?
There's some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
And I think that's something that when a civil war occurs, you are afraid of happening, because it's how do you distinguish between who's who? Who are we fighting for? On which sides of the battle are you? As someone who comes from a country that almost went into civil war and that's always threatened by one, that is the fear of, how do I know who's on my side? How do I know who's trying to kill me? And what if I don't believe in what the people you're fighting for? Let's say I'm on this side. Let's say I'm from the other 50 states. What if I don't believe in what they stand for as well? Will you kill me and stuff like that? And those are the questions. And the film then goes through that, and in that experience you're like, oh shit, this could actually happen. Like, there's just some people who don't like foreigners, who don't like immigrants, and how for them, if you're an immigrant, then you deserve to die, you're not American, you know. And I think from there we go through the different journeys that I think that's what the film does best, is of creating that experience and of taking you there. Like when these guys are having a shootout, you're like, yo, this is nuts, man. Like they're having a shootout and it feels like you're there. Like I watched it in the where there's the crazy, I don't know, like in the theater here, there's this crazy sound theater where you can watch it, and it was like crazy because the bullets felt real. Like it felt like you were in the zone, and then you see this guy die and you see the photos, and then it makes you think about all those war photos that you've seen where these journalists are and how much they put themselves in danger, you know. And then we fast forward it, we get a glimpse of who the characters are. They have these conversations, we try to create some empathy, and we see the different world. And then we see some people who are ignorant to the war, who just don't want to be part of it, where life is normal, they pretend not to see it, but they're not really pretending not to see it. It's just for them, they're trying to continue with life and not be bothered by the war, so they stay out of it, but they're also ready for it, you know. And you go through that journey until they finally reach their final destination, where the president is about to be defeated. And then they go in, they capture the president, and one of the main characters dies. And it's okay, like she dies, but I don't think you get in a sense of, oh, she died. Like it doesn't hit as much as I feel like the filmmakers were hoping for, that death hits, because the idea is you haven't developed much of a connection with her. You don't really know what her story is. You don't really know why she's there. Why did she even go there? Why did she try to save this girl? Did she see this little girl in herself? You know, there are moments where they try to put that in dialogue, but then they don't have that relationship of like, where you like, and then the little girl is so arrogant where it just feels like, okay, that's somebody dead. That's war. People die, you know, and we move on. So I feel like for me, when I say it's the worst movie I've seen, is because it's a movie that's shot great visually, that creates a very great cinematic, but it's a movie that doesn't say anything. You know, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't stand for anything. So at the end of it, you're just like, oh, okay. And it makes you question like Americans' view of life and of the world. Like, what do you guys really fight for? Like, if a civil war was to break out, like what causes it? Right now, you have issues with people on the right and people on the left. These are people who fundamentally have different beliefs, which serves to be there. But then the thing is, you want to trade the line, because if you say the right wins, then it can be controversial. If you say the left wins, then it's super controversial. But then if you say nobody wins and it's just neutral, then it's like, what? You know what I mean? And, you know, it reminded me of Captain America Civil War. Like, depending on who you believed in, you know, you chose a side. And I think that's something that the audience is not given the opportunity to do in this film. And understandably, like, I think in America, the idea of having somebody serve for 3 terms and become a dictator is impossible. But for the rest of the world, this is our reality, you know? So at the end of the day, you're almost always on the verge of that. Like, the idea of a civil war is not something that you grow up in and put it in the back of your mind, something that you understand could happen and might happen and probably will happen. But so that's what I felt like. The story just didn't have that, and it felt like it's a story that was written by people in comfort who fetishize the idea, I don't know, people who romanticize the idea of war and romanticize these things where you haven't experienced it, because you've had life like this, you've seen it, you've seen on TV, you've seen this, but when you don't have that lived experience of what it might be, then you're able to say, oh, let's just dread a neutral line. You know, there's that sense of what's that called with the elephant, like those who are in the middle, until it steps on you actually don't know. So it is what it is. But yeah, it's a good film. It highlights a lot of things that, you know, that are possible. It's something that people should question and see how much this division that that's happening in the States and where it might go. It's a possibility. It's not that it's going to happen because I think America is well run. But yeah, it's a movie that I feel like a year from now, even by the end of the year, people won't really be talking about. But one thing that they use the Ronin 4D is something that's amazing. You know, it's a prosumer camera and stuff like that. Like that's a talking point. But I feel like when a movie like this, you want to talk about the story more than you want to talk about how it was made. So in terms of cinematography, it's a great film. I feel like some of the composition short wise was amazing. Like some of the times where one character is here and you are with her and you feel the grip. You know, there's the scene whereby there's a sniper in the house and he's shooting at these two guys on the ground, where you're like, who are these people in danger? Are they on your side or not? What's happening? And then when the sniper is shot, like, oh, he's dead. It is what it is, you know. And just how everything is built up, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's an amazing film. You know, everything else about it, my only gripe with it, story wise,